is a huge issue, and it's not going to go away unless we come out with an alternative energy beyond wind, solar, geothermal, or biofuel. Then it's a game changer, and it could be no more apparent than look at the uproar about Libya and his lockjaw about the Ivory Coast. People are being slaughtered there. The Sudan, last week, 300 buildings were burned, 10,000 refugees all of a sudden from a disputed area. Doesn't make the news at all. How come? I guess they have nothing there to steal or not enough to steal. So that's all it's about. It's not about dictatorships, democracy, religion. It's about the bottom line. United States security interests, they call it.
There was Michael Moore wrote a piece, I guess it was on Huffington Post last week, saying that when America is not broke, we have 400 families who have enough money to refloat America. That the richest 400 have as much as I don't remember the number, but the poorest 100 million or 130 million people. What do you think it's going to take for the American people to turn out into the streets? And
They don't have. I don't think they have what it takes. I say to them, you being a guy that grew up in the streets as myself, these kids aren't. They're more the mommy's boys. They're soccer mommy's boys. I mean, they don't have any. There's no cojones out there. Look at the leaders. I'll never forget the last question of the debate between Bush and Kerry and this guy Schieffer. How the hell he injected himself into it? And I'll never forget the question. He said, the three of us have something in common. Bob Schieffer, that's his name. He said, we're both married. Well, all of us are married to strong women. And I said, oh, shit. And then Kerry starts with, well, you're right. I married up. You married up? And it's just a symbol for the whole thing. You married up. Look at these guys. They get caught. Like this guy Edwards gets caught with a chick. He cries. They go, oh, I made a mistake. First he tried to deflect it with his having an aide say that was the aide and the videographer had the baby. And then you got this guy Spitzer, the former governor of New York. He passes a John law. And if a guy gets caught with a prostitute, you get busted, go to jail, and he gets caught with ones of thousands of dollars, and he gets a TV show. And what does he do? He brings his wife on the stage. Oh, I'm sorry, I got caught. What were you? These guys, they're not men. How about the chick was hot, and I couldn't resist her. And so what I'm saying, look at them. There's not men. Look at Obama. Look at Clinton. Look at Bush. Well, these guys. I mean, these would be the last guys I'd want around me if a fight broke out.
so you think the government is going to crumble in the face of adversity,
No,
or
no, they just take more control. They keep grabbing more control. That's what you do in all declining societies. You have the goon squads out there. They have the TSA. Look at it. You go there, you have the lowest common denominators feeling you up and groping you.
sexually
So they
abusing
doing their
children too, no? And calling?
yeah.
Yeah, as I said, I haven't been back to the States in 17 years now.
Yeah, like look, I don't blame you. I think of it, if I'm a single guy, so I could go anywhere at any time, and I just don't have the urge yet. But if it gets ugly enough, if I used to have a French girlfriend, a Parisian, and I used to talk to her Aunt Martine, very educated. The aunt used to teach at Tufts. The family's very well respected in Paris.
Hmm.
And I said to her, how come you didn't leave? Martine's in her 80s. I said, how come you didn't leave when the Germans were coming in? You must have known. And she said to me, Gerald, she said, the people that stayed behind were the ones that they thought they had too much to leave behind.
Hmm.
And I don't have any, I have a lot to leave behind, but I'll leave it behind in a heartbeat for my freedom.
Yeah, that's one thing I've enjoyed in 20 years down here in Brazil. A lot of freedom. Where I'm building is at the end of the world. It's about 3 hours north of the federal capital and one of the lowest population density areas in the world. And it's where I lived the first 6 years in Brazil,
Oh,
where
good.
where three of our children are born. And
Oh, good for you.
now I just have to convince my wife to go.
Well, I mean, look at the difference. I mean, like the Brazilian women, the whole thing. I mean, it's like, sexism, like, it's not, I mean, they're freer spirits. My God, the people here are so uptight, and it's only getting worse. I mean, they're really uptight. There's no joy in Mudville.
Yeah, here are people. One of the first things I did when I arrived here is I wrote two books. One was called The Marriage of the Souls, and the second was Heart Health. And I realized that only in Brazil could I write subjects about so intimate with the heart, because this society, people still, even though a lot of it is kind of first world, is this global type of citizen, still people here are closer to their hearts. They're very warm. They'll talk to strangers. It is very different here, and it's nice.
Yeah, yeah. Look, what breaks my heart, what happens with what's going on in the states. I mean, you have no idea. I mean, it breaks my heart. And my what I do is, my work is to inspire people to stand up, take a step, and really find your greatness. And really, because that's the only way it's going to change. Until people find the greatness within themselves, then they'll no longer accept mediocrity. But until that happens, I mean, this is, it's the fast food nation. Junk food in every way. Junk for the mind, junk for the soul, and junk for the body.
I'm sure it'd be very painful for me to see it. I'm sure it'd break my heart too. It breaks my heart from a distance.
Yeah, it really does. It takes a toll on me. It's not fun to watch
You still
because I
live.
know what this country was, and I see
Mm.
what it's become.
I became totally disillusioned when Ronald Reagan became president. That's when I kind of threw in the towel.
Yeah, that was a big change. Yep, that's when that whole AIDS thing started, and all the diseases. They freaked out everybody. That was the big freak out.
You still living in New York?
I live upstate. I live in
In
Kingston, which is
Kingston.
2 hours north.
Got a lot of snow there this year?
No, no, we got really spared for some reason. It's the foothills of the Catskills, and Kingston was the first capital of New York State. I'm in my building is over 100 years old, and the buildings right on the corner from me are the foremost historic, it's the most historic corner in the U.S., the only place where there's stone buildings from the 16 and 1700s on each corner.
Really?
So the area is really cool, and it's becoming, a lot of sharp young people are moving up here.
Well, I wish you a lot of luck when the final straw comes and starts breaking the back of the economy and financial system. How close do you think that is? How close do you?
It could be tomorrow, or it could be next year. We don't know the schemes undreamed of that they're going to come up with. And like the Federal Reserve, what are they going to do next to pump money in the economy? What's the European Central Bank going to do? So, in the absence of that, it's any time. And what we're saying to people, prepare for the worst. Because if the worst doesn't happen and you've prepared, you've lost nothing.
Right.
But if the worst happens and you've done nothing, you lose everything.
And how many people are preparing in the United States, you think?
I would say probably between 5 to 10%.
You think so? You think that's that
Yeah,
high?
yeah, yeah.
That's amazing.
Taking measures at different levels. I mean, the real preppers maybe 1 or 2%,
Hmm.
but people at various levels of buying gold, buying silver, buying guns, having a getaway plan. I'd say in that range.
Have you have much information about the underground cities and shelters that the government has been building, like underneath the Denver airport, and
No,
you haven't?
no, no. And I've been trying to get harder information on. on the FEMA camps as well,
Yeah, yeah.
and I just can't find enough solid data to man, just not enough that 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 and I have a number of people looking at it. Like it brings me to a firm conclusion.
Hmm. It looks like well, I hear that in Moscow they're building 5,000 shelters under an emergency construction program. Of course, they're not saying why they're doing that, but and from the best information I have, I was watched that the video from Jesse
Ventura,
Ventura. Yeah,
right?
he reminds me of Steven Seagal, you know, running around with the ponytail, and he looks just like him.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Anything else, Mark?
no, I think that's a good start. That was a. Thank you very much. Very.
Well, my pleasure. I wish you the best of good fortune as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
And until the next time,
Okay, Gerald.
and good luck with your venture.
Thank you.
All right, bye bye.
Have